Every now and then, I hear of a book at exactly the right time. This was the case with Heart, Frida Kahlo in Paris, written by Marc Petitjean and published by Other Press. The author investigates his father's affair with Frida Kahlo, which occurred in Paris in 1939, before the author was born. He writes about this affair to shed light on the spirit of Frida Kahlo's life, her 1 year spent in Paris before the Second World War. He also wrote this book to learn more about his father, who he writes he knew, but he didn't really know. My own father died 4.5 years ago, and I'm still processing the loss. I have long been fascinated with the work and life of Frida Kahlo, so I read this book with interest. I should say at the outset that this is not an LGBTQ book. At least I did not read it that way. Although the author does describe Frida as bisexual, he also mentions that Frida Kahlo was rediscovered by feminists in the United States and Europe in the 1980s. He writes about the connection between Frida Kahlo and the Bretons in Paris. Andre, the husband, an essayist and poet who was known as the head of the Surrealists, was fascinated with Frida and her artwork. Frida had an affair with Breton's wife, Jacqueline. As the author writes, it is said that Andre Breton delighted in watching them, that some of the men in Kahlo's circles eroticized her bisexuality is perhaps predictable as well as disappointing. But it is not the author's fault. Frida went to Paris by way of Manhattan in 1939, in many ways at a low point in her life. She had just found out their husband had been having an affair with her sister, probably for the previous 2 years. However, for the first time in Frida's life, she was financially independent from her husband and was known as herself and not the wife of a well-known artist. Before that, she was known as Mrs. Rivera. Can you imagine? The book does grab the imagination and took this reader into the surrealist world of Paris in 1939, where the author describes his father, Marc Petitjean, as a seducer who moved in surrealist circles where sexuality was free. As the publisher points out, the book covers an often ignored but crucial period of Frida Kahlo's life, her lone year spent in Paris right before the outbreak of World War II. Apparently, the author's father, and most likely Frida, had other lovers, but the two had a strong bond corroborated with letters. Frida gave Michel a copy of her painting entitled The Heart, which is reproduced in the book. In reading The Heart, Frida Kahlo in Paris by Marc Petitjean, published by Other Press, I learned new information about Frida Kahlo. Just as importantly, the book allowed my imagination to enter an important part of her world through the lens of a man intent on sharing what he knew about his father. This is Janet Mason reviewing for BookTube and Spotify.